Hey guys, this is Z.A.K here with the new kind of design I made. So yeah, what I did was I took my brother's ECX Boost, which is this thing, and as you can see, I've made it a mid-motor. Now I've been looking around on URC and on RC Tech, and I've seen this one other guy. He made one, and I decided, well, yeah, if it's that easy to make, then I'll try making it. So yeah, that's what I did. I made the ECX Boost into a mid motor. So yeah, I'm gonna pop off these pins, and then I'll show you what's under the hood, and then I'll compare it to both of these other buggies, which is my B4.2 and my TLR 22 2.0. So yeah, let's pop these pins off. Hey guys, so now I popped all the pins off, so let's talk about what I did. So I'll move the B4 and the 22 out of the way for a sec. Okay, so yeah, like I said, this car was originally an ECX Boost, one of the $140 rear motor buggies that come brushed. So yeah, just in case if you're new to the channel or you're new to our ECX, we got this at Revolution Raceway, which is, well, one of our local tracks now. And yeah, some guy had it for sale for $5, and I thought it was too good to be true. We picked her up, and yeah, then I sold it to my brother for $5. I just put on some new shocks and stuff just so that he would have a really nice buggy shock on there instead of a truck shock or SCT. And I might go back to those shocks because, yeah, we broke the team associated shock tower off of it, which was on there, that we upgraded to. So then it would work with these buggy shocks. So now it's sitting a lot lower. So we're gonna have to switch towers. So yeah, we got this for $5 from Revolution Raceway in Appleton, and yeah, I don't know who sold it to us, but it also came with a Mamba Max. I think no, it was a Mamba. No, I don't know what ESC was. It was a Castle Sidewinder. Yeah, that was what it is. A Castle Sidewinder ESC, and that thing didn't run brushless. It only ran brushed motors, which is okay. And then I put that ESC in my Evader. But yeah, that's the story kind of behind this buggy, and we got some J-Concepts hybrids in the rear. So then it has all that grip for our outdoor dusty track. And then in the front I put my indoor B4 tires on, which are these J-Concepts barcodes. They're clay compound. And I found out that that setup works the best for our outdoor track, which is a dusty, loamy track. And yeah, this mid-motor mod was very easy. Now, you guys could have used the stock Boost chassis, but my brother didn't want to cut it up, and besides, he just got that thing, the Boost chassis, because the Boost chassis that was already on the car, he broke on one of his jumps because a slash hit him in midair. But now he got a new Boost chassis, and that's going to be his rear motor chassis, and this is a B4.1, not the 8mm plus chassis, the original graphite one. And yeah, this thing works like a charm on the Boost. It fits perfectly. Only part that doesn't is his top plate, which we could upgrade to the team associated top plate so it works better. But yeah, otherwise the whole front end mounts directly onto it. No modification besides kind of narrowing the front end a little tiny bit. No more holes have to be drilled to mount the front, so you're fine with that. If you want to run a boost components on a B4 chassis, you sure can. So if you want like a graphite chassis or something wider, then yeah, you can go ahead and do that. Just the rear end of the boost the not the SC10 chassis, the B4 chassis will not fit the shock tower and gearbox stuff, so you might have to modify that, like cut it off entirely and then just bolt it down with some aluminum plate or something. So you might have to do that. So how this mid motor came to be was I took out the under plate on the Boost, this part right here that mounts the A-arms and everything, the toe plate and everything, and I took out the transmission, and basically what I did was, like, I didn't flip around the toe plate at all. I just left it exactly how it would be if it was rear motor, and I took the gear case and I flipped it around, so it's running the same toe as it would be rear motor, but it's just that the motor's flipped around. And all I had to do was, as you can see here, that there's two holes that were stock ones, and then I drilled out two new ones to put the tranny on. And then there's also another set under here that I used to screw in the other side, which I had to drill new holes for that too. And yeah, as you can see, I got a random plate of metal I found, and I still got to kind of cut it yet, but it's fine for now. But that's all it mounts to the chassis, and yeah, the ride height's very low, so we're gonna have to put the original shocks back as these shorter buggy shocks. So yeah, then I just mounted it onto the chassis with 3 screws right there, and also I put on some nuts right there to secure, and some screws and nuts right there to secure the bottom plate onto the other bottom plate here. Then I also used the toe block screws there to go through to give it some extra support with that bottom plate. And the guy on URC that did this mod to his boost, he kept his brushed, but we made ours brushless. And he also used camber links to keep the stiffness down on the chassis and to adjust it and stuff. So what I did is I took a Stampede 2-wheel drive steering link and I bolted it to the chassis with some Traxxas nuts or whatever you want to call them there, and then I also used a 2mm Traxxas screw. Goes all the way through, locks on with this nut. Then you can turn the turnbuckle to adjust how stiff your chassis is. But yeah, now it's it's not very stiff because I gotta kind of work on it a little bit more in the future. But yeah, that's kind of how it works. It bolts up to where you would attach the gear cover, because this thing didn't come with the gear cover and we're not buying the gear cover for it. And also, I've seen the guy on URC do like a camber link sort of deal on the bottom here to keep the tower up and it won't flex. But we decided not to do that. What we decided to do, which is the same concept I did for my Slash mid motor, if you saw that yet, was I didn't use the same exact concept, like with the link and everything, but on my Slash 2-wheel drive mid motor just made the shock tower stiffer by securing it frontward to the chassis. Like this, I used a link and it went through, and it goes through the shock tower right there. I'm just using a ball stud holder right there for a rod end for the end of the thing to secure it. So now the camber link's in there, and yeah, it goes through the hole in the back of the shock tower. This is a B4 titanium one, just so you know, the ones that go on the B4 in the front. This one to be exact. I had a spare one of those, and it goes through the same hole on the top of the gearbox cover as the chassis link does. But I've added a brace here. This is a little chunk of battery door plastic from a Losi remote, one of the 27 megahertz ones that comes with the micro T. Cut out a piece of that, and I kind of made it brace out of this nub here on the gearbox, and I also used the screw that goes into the gearbox, so now it's stiffer and it won't really like bend too much. So yeah, the shock tower does have some give to it still, but not as much as it would have had without the link. So I tightened up the link enough so that the shock tower is kind of pitching forward, but at least now it won't really like bend or break under power, you know. So, and also this wing on the back is the J Concepts finisher wing, and I had thought of 2 mounting options for the wing. You could either mount it like stock, which is wing high, which is really tall and it's kind of weird. If you set it side by side with my race car, my 22 mid motor, well yeah, they are the same height, but the mid motor one is way lower. And think about the ride height on the 22. It's a lot taller ride height because it has the correct shocks on it, where this one's so low, but if I raised it up it'd be like that. So yeah, the wing could either be ran wing high, or you could flip the wing mount around and run it wing low, or however you want to call it, which is really good for it, but my brother likes it wing high, so I did that. We mounted the ESC into the chassis right on the front of the battery strap where the battery would go for the B4 on the chassis. So as you could kind of see here, like it would have been right here on the B4 chassis, but it's right there. And we didn't want to mount it on the sides because this thing uses a lateral battery mount, so you could put a battery sideways on here. But for now we haven't been using a battery strap. The body kind of has held the battery in. But in the future I'm going to come up with a battery strap on these 2 little mounts there. But then I'd also have to extend the motor wires because we just pulled this out of the rear motor. So yeah, it's a lateral battery mount, and you could also mount a shorty in here, but my brother doesn't have a shorty and I have a shorty and I use it all the time, so you can't really put a shorty in there right now. You'd have to get one if you wanted one. But yeah, and he's also using a Solar D771 servo, which is the short servo, and it works really well. It's all metal. And we also locked the servo saver on here, so now there's less give in the steering. The only give in the steering is with these plastic links right here that we have to get rid of, these things, which we're going to make metal like the front links are. And yeah, in the future we might get another team associated shock tower, or we will just drill like another mounting hole for the shocks on this shock tower for now to mount it so that the suspension's correct. And in the rear, I'm definitely doing the same thing, since I don't think you can mount a team associated shock tower in the back. If you can, I would definitely upgrade to that. But yeah, I might drill some new shock holes in the back if I can find an area to do it. Or I might just get a piece of metal like the one on the bottom of the chassis here and make some sort of like a drop down here, then just screw onto that. So yeah, we tried this on the track yesterday. My brother says this thing is way better than his Boost because it doesn't drift around the corners, so it doesn't lose corner speed, and it has the same amount of grip as the Boost that he had before had. But well, his Boost also had I don't know where the tires went, but it had some weird, oh here they are, these weird no-name low-C tires. I don't know what they are. If you know, put them in the comments. But he had these on his rear motor in the front, and that gave him enough forward grip to go into the turns and everything. But now he needs a less forward grip because it's a mid-motor and it's a lateral battery mount. The battery's mounted in the center of the chassis. So yeah, that's why we're running indoor tires. But he said the corners, just like it has before, just doesn't drift in the corners. It has the same amount of grip, it flies better. And he's crashed this thing so much, and this thing hasn't even broke yet. On the first test I had with this, where I didn't even use these screws with nuts, I just had screws without nuts in there. This thing was dog tracking and it was driving badly, but if you get some really good screws and nuts in there in good places and just drill holes and mount them, as you can see, those are the old holes because it was dog tracking. And yeah, you'll have a very solid car. Alright guys, so now I'm going to throw these three cars on the scale and compare about the weight of this car. So yeah, let's go on to that part. Okay guys, so now I have my scale out. It's in grams. So yeah, let's throw on the Boost mid motor. So on the scale, no battery in it. It's not loaded, but it's 1312 grams. 1,312 grams. So there you go, that's how much it weighs. Now I'm going to throw on my mid motor car, which is my 4-gear 22 2.0. Which will be a 3-gear and a carbon chassis soon. And this thing weighs more at 1,475 grams. So, and it's not even, doesn't even have a battery in it. So, and it also has the side weights, which add like 100 grams, and then the back weight, which adds 50 grams. So if that wasn't there, it would obviously weigh less. But it has the same servo and basically all the same setup stuff. But this thing weighs less, so if you're going stock racing, this kind of a deal would be pretty good. But if I had team associated shock tower in the front, that would probably make it better, or team associated upper deck, that would make it better too. So yeah, let's throw on the B4 and compare that. So B4 is going on the rear motor. This thing weighs less at 1,239 grams, and it's not even loaded. And it weighs less also because it's got the B4 towers. It's got also the +8 mil chassis, not the graphite one like the mid-motor Boost has. It also has a carbon fiber battery strap. It has a lighter ESC. It's basically got a lot of light stuff like the titanium links and stuff. And it also has a full-size servo in there. But yeah, this is the lightest car out of the three. And the middle car out of the three is surprisingly the Boost mid-motor, and the heaviest car out of the three, which if you want to run on clay and you want grip, then the 22 2.0 would be the heaviest. Well, if I took the weights off, it'd still be heavier, so it still is the heaviest. So yeah, that's not fully loaded on the car at all, but that is how much the Boost mid-motor weighs. So yeah guys, if you like this video, please hit the like button. Oh yeah, and also I forgot to tell you about the body. Weird story. I had made this for my B4 and I was really wanting to finish the body. Didn't have any cash, just had a ton of hot glue and drywall tape, so I just drywall taped myself a body with some hot glue. and it works pretty good. I don't know how much it weighs, but it's pretty heavy. I would not recommend making a body out of drywall tape unless you want durability and a weird look like this. But yeah, it mounts perfectly onto the car, and yeah, it works pretty good. So yeah, that's how it looks at the body. And yeah, the guy who sold me the $5 Boost, which is this, is watching the video. This is how it looks now, and might see it at Hobbytown later on this year, might not, who knows. So comment, rate, subscribe, and I'll see you later.